Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right in. We're unpacking a highly volatile situation developing in the Middle East right now. We've got breaking reports coming out of the Strait of Hormuz, but today we want to look past those immediate headlines to uncover the real structural realities at play here. And our main focus? Iran's limited military capacity today, and how those conventional limitations are literally dictating their aggressive geopolitical strategies. It's fascinating because we're going to see how weakness in one specific area forces some pretty extreme, unconventional tactics in another. All right, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the escalation in the Straits. Second, that limited military capacity. Third, the asymmetric strategy. Fourth, the internal leadership disconnect. And finally, a brand new regional alignment. Okay, Section 1, Escalation in the Strait. Let's break down these recent clashes. The breakdown in regional stability here has been incredibly rapid. Just last month, a memorandum of understanding was signed. Everything seemed somewhat stable. But fast forward to just last week, ships were already being attacked in Oman's waters. The real flashpoint, though, happened even more recently. A commercial ship flying out of Cyprus was actually hit in the incredibly vital Strait of Hormuz. A huge fire broke out, completely destroying the boiler room and leaving the entire vessel totally immobilized. And tragically, a crew member from India is still missing. Following ignored deadlines to reopen this crucial international waterway, the United States stepped in and launched major retaliatory strikes. Now, according to U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, this retaliatory operation was significant. But notice, the focus wasn't just broad and sweeping, it was highly targeted. U.S. forces used a mix of sea-based fighter jets, unmanned drones, and naval munitions, and they aimed them directly at missile launch sites, drone operating facilities, key naval capabilities, and the exact surveillance infrastructure used to coordinate attacks on shipping. They went right for the source. And this perfectly illustrates the immediate geopolitical standoff we're watching unfold today. On one side, you have Iran flatly declaring the Strait of Hormuz closed. Just closed. But on the exact opposite side, the U.S. military is essentially guaranteeing that this vital international waterway is going to remain open to all legal global trade. And guys, the ripple effects of this standoff, they are already spilling over borders. Kuwait actually just confirmed strikes from hostile aircraft hitting their border crossings and even an oil rig. So this is a highly charged, very complex physical confrontation right now. Moving to Section 2, Iran's limited military capacity. This is the core analysis. So there is a stark contrast in Iran's actual forces. When you really dig into it, defense experts point out that Iran currently operates with a severely degraded conventional air capability and a pretty limited integrated military. Basically, they lack traditional firepower. So because of that conventional weakness, they are forced to rely heavily on asymmetric tactics. We're talking about utilizing the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, the Quds Force Network, and various regional proxies. And that is the absolute core takeaway you need to remember here. Their aggressive actions in the Strait are a direct symptom of their conventional military limitations. Which leads us to Section 3, the asymmetric warfare strategy, and specifically utilizing the IRGC. The absolute crucial point to understand is that Iran takes what limited capacity it actually has and uses it to conduct asymmetric conflict. Think about it. When you can't win a conventional head-to-head war of fighter jets and destroyers, what do? You change the rules of the game. You menace commercial ships in the Persian Gulf, threatening the global energy supplies and supply chains that ultimately impact prices right here at home for you and me. You use drones and localized strikes to harass and disrupt. You violate agreements like that recent MOU, all to create maximum chaos with minimal conventional military expenditure. It's cheap, but it's effective. And to actually execute this asymmetric strategy, Tehran relies heavily on one specific apparatus, the Quds Force. This is the international wing of the IRGC. Now, analysts are quick to point out that this is not some small, isolated splinter group. No, it's a vast, highly coordinated network with tens of thousands of partners stretching from South Asia all the way across the Middle East with a laser focus on the Persian Gulf. They are the ones on the ground executing these operations against U.S. facilities, striking oil and gas pipelines, and driving the proxy warfare that keeps the entire region on edge. Honestly, it's a staggering footprint for a nation with such limited conventional hardware. Section 4, Internal Leadership Disconnect. Basically, who is actually running the show? Ambassador Matt Whitaker neutrally presents a really fascinating observation regarding Iran's internal power structure. He suggests that there might actually be a massive disconnect, maybe even a complete leadership vacuum, between Iran's diplomats and its military operators. Because on one side, you have officials sitting at the diplomatic table trying to negotiate, but on the exact same day, you have military operators shooting missiles and drones at commercial ships. As he puts it, they just do not appear to be on the same page whatsoever. Now, conversely, other defense analysts, like Kieran Skinner, offer a totally different interpretation. They suggest, hold on, this isn't a leadership vacuum at all. Instead, it might be a highly calculated good cop, bad cop routine. By having diplomats talk peace while the military creates chaos, Tehran can effectively stall international negotiations indefinitely. Looking at it through this lens, there hasn't been any regime change, right? The Ayatollahs are still firmly in power. So this dual-track behavior is simply consistent with how the regime has historically operated to buy time and maintain their leverage. Finally, Section 5, a new regional alignment. Let's look at the unintended consequences. Because Iran's asymmetric strategy has been so aggressively widespread, targeting nations essentially across the board, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar, Bahrain, and Jordan, it has completely inadvertently forced the hands of its neighbors. By striking oil pipelines and regional facilities, Tehran has actually pushed a brand new group of partners to unite for their own mutual defense. This has resulted in what analysts are now calling the R4 security infrastructure. It's a newly emergent coalition where the Saudis, Turks, Egyptians, and Pakistanis are all coming together. Their main goal? Figuring out regional security entirely independent of Tehran. And there is a profound irony here. While Iran has spent all this time using its asymmetric network to project power and menace global trade, the ultimate result is that Tehran is finding itself increasingly, undeniably isolated. Not just from the Western world, but isolated within its very own region. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. We've seen exactly how a lack of conventional military capacity forces a heavy reliance on asymmetric warfare, which then turns around, isolates a nation, and literally forces its neighbors to band together. So, we want to leave you with this provocative question to consider. As Tehran faces this growing, undeniable regional isolation, how will this newly formed R4 alliance permanently reshape the global balance of power in the years to come? Definitely keep that in mind as you watch the headlines unfold this week. See you next time.